Yellow leather, red leather. Hi, and welcome to the Pod Cafe. I'm Nick Potts.
And I'm Emily Potts.
And we drink coffee and talk about the podcast we're listening to.
Yeah. What are you drinking today?
Today I walked over to the Red June Cafe, which I've only been to on one other occasion.
When I was
you
there.
were in town.
Oh my gosh.
Yep.
Yum.
That's it. Yeah, it was, last time I was there I got an Americano. This time I just got an iced coffee, black iced coffee, and it's really good. I like it a lot. I will say it's a little pricey over there, but it's a cute little place, tiny little cafe. It's got a walk-up window, and I don't know, the coffee's really good. I like it a lot. You know what's really interesting is their straws. Their straws are like really sturdy. It's like a really thick straw. I don't know.
That is really
Strange.
weird.
They're very strange. So I got a breakfast burrito and a nice coffee from there.
Oh, that sounds fantastic.
Yeah, the breakfast burrito was pretty good, but also really pricey. Like, it was like $9.25 or something just for the burrito. The coffee was like $3. So
Wow, that is an expensive burrito. Dang.
Yeah, anyway, Red June Cafe. I'm probably going to go back more and try different stuff. Probably not food stuff, just coffee stuff. But it was pretty busy. There was a lot of people coming in.
I mean,
and out.
Sunday brunch, I guess. Sunday breakfast.
Yeah, most people were getting it to go, though. Actually, there's some people sitting outside, coming in the walk-up window.
Cute.
Yeah, cool little place. I would rate my coffee a... it loses points for being expensive. So, I don't know. 9 out of 10?
That's pretty good. 9 out of 10.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's good coffee. Maybe 8. I would like it to be a little bigger and a little less expensive, but
That's fair. I mean, it's a little neighborhood coffee shop. I feel like they get away with those prices.
yeah, they do. They're pretty hipster
Yeah.
over there. So, well, what are you drinking?
Let me tell you. So I'm drinking a K-cup. However, there's more to my story than just a K-cup today. So they were giving away some of these K-cups downtown last week, and I was like, sure, I drink coffee. I love coffee. I need coffee for Sunday podcasting. So I grabbed a few, and it's this local coffee brand, but I think they sell it all over the country, but it's from Minnesota. So, shop local. It's called Cameron's. Have you seen it?
Cameron's.
Yeah, I feel like I've seen it in Illinois as well, but
I think I drank some on this
yeah,
podcast.
I think you did actually. Well, it's made in Minnesota.
Not a K-cup, but it was I made it in a pot.
Well, I'm drinking the vanilla hazelnut K-cup, and it's pretty good. I mean, I was like, yeah, let me check out what you guys are doing, and it's a good K-cup. I don't know, I'd rate it like a 7. Probably a 7. Yeah, I mean, I don't love K-cups, to be honest.
I don't either. They're super convenient.
Yeah. I really like strong coffee, and I feel like a K-cup is never strong enough.
Yeah, and I don't know. It's like they're always too bitter, and I don't know. They taste like more watery, kind of, to me. I don't know. Just not great.
I mean, they're not the best. They're not good for the environment. Should really stop drinking them, but I have a few left still, so I got to get through it. Can't just waste them.
Probably just gonna keep drinking K-cups anyway.
I mean, I have a Keurig, I guess, so.
Yeah. Well, all right. Hopefully we have some better things to say about our podcast today.
Today we're doing stories. Yeah, we're doing stories.
Yeah, the genre is storytelling.
So we chose a fictional storytelling podcast. It's called The Bright Sessions. So let me tell you a little bit about it. It's a science fiction story podcast that follows a group of therapy patients, and they're not like normal therapy patients. Each of them has some sort of unique supernatural ability, and the show just documents their struggles and discoveries as they're going through these therapy sessions with their kind of mysterious and ominous therapist, Dr. Bright. So it's written by a woman named Lauren Shippen, and then she has a couple different actors and actresses that play the parts of each therapy patient.
She also plays one of the therapy patients too. She plays Sam.
Does she? For some reason, I always remember hearing her name of like, show was written and directed by Lauren Shippen, but I always thought it was a different Shippen as the Sam patient.
Welcome to Therapy for the Strange and Unusual. I'm Lauren Shippen, the creator of The Bright Sessions, a science fiction audio drama about people with supernatural abilities and the challenges they face in their lives. The show follows Dr. Bright and her set of unique patients. You'll hear from a time traveler, an empath, and a mind reader, and that's just a start. As we get to know these patients, we also begin to learn more about Dr. Bright and the secrets she herself may be hiding. There's drama, conspiracy, betrayal, romance, and the whole spectrum of human and superhuman emotion.
Yeah, this one was fun because neither of us had listened to it before we chose to do it. I think that's the first time we did that. So I really enjoyed it. After we're done here, I'm probably going to keep listening to it.
I'm behind you, so don't do any spoilers while we're on this. But I really liked it too. And this is like, it was kind of fun to listen to a podcast that neither one of us knew anything about. And this is a very different podcast for me because I don't listen to a lot of storytelling podcasts, but yeah, I really liked it. I mean, it was like, we'll talk about it when we get into the content, but just such a unique thing to do because I think there's some background to it of the writer and the director used actual therapy content and how, therapists work as some of the baseline of the story.
Yeah, they had a therapist or psychologist, like kind of expert that they referenced, and had them help make the show. Yeah, I guess let's just go right into criteria so we could just start talking about it.
Okay, so let's start with the intro / music.
So yeah, this one might be the hardest for me to rate because the intro music, there isn't any, right? There's
right.
Outro music.
Yeah, the intro, she just kind of gets started. It's like, it usually starts with like, you know what I think we could talk more about in this sense because there's not really an intro? We could talk about the ending music, but also like the sounds that are played because, it's you're listening to a conversation between a therapist, but then they have sounds of like doors opening and closing, signifying that like someone is walking into the office, or footsteps, like someone is moving around the office. I think they have like some of that background sound that is kind of unique.
Yeah, I agree, and I really like how they did that. I was thinking we'd talk about that in the production.
Oh, we could do that.
But we
could talk about it twice.
Okay. Yeah, sure. I think the therapist records all her conversations on a recorder. So every episode starts with the sound of the recorder button being hit. So it's starting. And the ones that don't, like for example, some take place on like a Google Hangouts call or like a Skype call. So they'll have the calling noise play, or some take place on like a cell phone, so they have cell phone noises. So that's kind of like the starting point. When you hear the start record sound, that's how you know the episode's starting.
Yeah, it like signifies that, okay, the episode's starting, here we go, here's the conversation, and it's like, all right, tune in, and then they start talking. So yeah, it's kind of like this podcast's version of an intro is just signifying the start of a therapy session. I like it.
Yeah, I like it too. I don't think the frills of an intro song are necessary. I think it does need to sound a little like clinical, and yeah, I think a big like music production would not have fit this as well. I think even the outro music is like, I don't know, kind of perfect. It's really, really simple. It's nothing crazy. It's a little weird, which is kind of like the point of the show.
And it has a little bit of like an ominous sound to it, you know? It's not like really upbeat, or it's like a little bit like, I don't know how to describe it. It's just like, it's very subtle. So it's like, okay. It like eases you out.
Yeah, it's subtle, but like kind of like mysterious. I don't know. It kind of makes you like, every time an episode ends, no matter what's in it, it kind of makes you feel like, what's really going on here?
And every time an episode ends, I'm like, I know what you're doing, okay? Just move on to the next episode and tell me. But then the next episode happens, I still don't know what they're doing.
I don't know. It's pretty good. By the end of season 2, it's pretty interesting. It definitely has expanded beyond therapy sessions.
So what should we rate this intro, seeing as it's not really a traditional intro or music?
I give it, what do I give it? I give it a 9.
Okay. I was going to say, I give it a 10. I like it. I like that they don't waste time and jump right into it.
Yeah. This is why I give it a 9 out of 10. Because...
oh boy, let's hear it.
This is me being super picky about the immersive experience. So, technically, us as the listener are supposed to be listening to the audio recordings, right, that she's recording.
Correct.
So, technically, we would not be able to hear her pressing the button to start recording.
Oh my gosh.
That's the only reason I give it a 9 out of 10. But I get it.
See, I think there's something else recording the whole office, because she always says that she doesn't record the session. She only records her notes. So I think we're actually listening to some other like microphone within the office.
That's interesting. That's an interesting theory, and I guess we'll just like slowly slip into content here. But
all right, so you're going 9, I'm gonna go 10. And now we can ease into the content. All right, so yeah, it kicks off. They're in the office. Therapy session starts. She usually starts by adding some of her own notes, so you kind of know. That's kind of how you know which patient is coming in next, besides the fact that the patient's name is usually in the title. That'll help you figure out, like, oh yeah, okay, this is who's coming next. And the episodes don't go in order of one patient. They jump around to each patient. So it's always nice. She gives a little recap of what's happened since the last episode, which is, I think, helpful, because even if you listen to them all in order, like, I kind of get confused sometimes of which person is which and what happened to which person, you know?
Yeah. Is that because, like, it's hard for you to distinguish between the voice actors?
I think a little bit. And just in general, I'm like, which one's Sam? Which one's Chloe? I know they're both girls. Which one's which power?
Yeah, they kind of sound similar, I guess, especially the girls. They're both kind of like a little bubbly, a little like, I guess they have similar personalities a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. They both kind of have the same. They always sound a little bit flustered, and then they talk about their story, and then yada yada. Yeah, they do. I guess if they weren't flustered, they wouldn't need therapy, though. It's true. It's true. I think once I get a little further, I might distinguish a little bit better, but I'm still kind of early. I'm only like a couple episodes into season 2.
Yeah, it's pretty good. So it moves on, like, how much do you know about the therapist, Dr. Bright, right now?
I mean, I know a pretty good amount. Like, I know what she's doing because of the Damien guy, you know? He kind of tells a lot, and I know about the brother.
Okay, you know about her brother. How much do you know about her brother?
That he's stuck, and that he has a power. I know about his power.
Okay, you do know, so you know most of it. So the show expands beyond just therapy sessions into Dr. Bright trying to rescue her brother from this like governmental organization that is holding people with abilities.
Yeah.
And while his body is being held because he's in a coma and he is trapped in another time because he can use the abilities of people around him, and so he was doing that with someone who can like mental time travel, like not through space, just like in their mind, and he got stuck there, so they're trying to rescue him.
I feel like we're giving away a lot about this podcast.
A little bit. Yeah, we won't say much else about the storyline, but it's pretty good. I like the content a lot. I really like. It's actually one of those podcasts where kind of wish I thought of it myself.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's good. Each person has a different storyline, so the content is pretty easy to follow, and the episodes are really short, which I think is great. Like, they're only like 15 to 20 minutes total for each therapy session, and you kind of follow each character's storyline, and they have a lot of just interesting ways that it's laid out, and I think a lot of that comes from just how it's like the resources behind the content, I think is the way I'll say it. So the what's her role? She's like a mental health psychologist and support specialist. Her name's Betsy Laird.
This is the expert they use.
Yeah, yeah, this is the expert. So I think just having her like therapy experience or background knowledge just like adds a really good and like solid piece to just these stories, you know?
Yeah, it's believable for sure. I would absolutely believe that Dr. Bright is a real therapist, and I don't know, the voice actors do a really good job. Like episode 1, I was really impressed with Sam's voice acting and Dr. Bright's. I don't know, they do a really good job, and I think like especially in Caleb's, I think he does a really good job of like coming off as a teenager. Like he's good at making the small teenage problems seem like a really big deal.
Yeah, I think so too. It seems like they all really like got into character.
Yeah, they do a great job, and I really like. The problem with a lot of storytelling, like very recently, is people try and force like social issues in there and like to try and seem progressive. So like a lot of, this is a little off topic, but a lot of like actual play podcasts playing like D&D and stuff, they'll make characters that are like trans or gay or something on purpose just to show that they're like, we don't discriminate. So it happened a little bit here with, well, shoot, is this giving away too much information?
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
Stop doing that.
All right, I won't say any more, but they do have some gay characters, and they did it in a really good way that doesn't seem like they're forcing the issue. Like, there's gay characters, but it wasn't like a big deal that they were gay.
Yeah, I feel like I agree, the way they did it was a lot better than what I've seen before in like other story podcasts and things like you mentioned, but they made it more of the issue around the fact that he's just a teen and these are like normal teen issues, not like that being gay is an issue, you know? Yeah,
there wasn't like episodes where he had to come out or anything like that, and he wasn't like mad or like in denial or anything. It just is what it was.
Yeah. So what would you rate the content? And we're thinking about content and the fact of like, we like what they're doing, we don't like what they're doing. Each episode has good content, you know? Like, what do we feel about each episode?
I think 10 out of 10. I think they are telling a story about superpowers, which is not uncommon, but they're taking a side of it that I haven't seen yet, and makes a lot of sense to address. And I think the show would have been good even if it just stuck to therapy sessions. But I think it's even better that it's branching out and getting like a bigger plot line. So I would give it a 10 out of 10.
I think I would also give it a 10. I was kind of hesitating because I'm like, I don't love every single episode, but I think in total I really like the podcast content.
Yeah, I think that's okay. I think it needs some like what's the word I'm looking for? I don't want to say less interesting, but like less dynamic episodes to make the good ones seem really good. I think that's just like true in TV or anything really.
Yeah. So let's talk about the entertainment factor of this podcast.
Okay. Yeah, the intangible draw. This one is I was just gonna give a number right away. I think this one's a 10 out of 10 for me too. I definitely feel the need to come back every time and listen. I listen to a lot right in a row, and I definitely, even though we're gonna be done after this, done reviewing it, I'm gonna finish listening to it probably.
I think I will too, and I think honestly, like, the first episode I listened to it and I was like, oh, I'm hooked. Like, the first episode to me was so good. I listened to that one episode and that's when I texted you and I was like, I really like this. And that was the only one I had listened to.
Yeah, I felt that way too. I instantly wanted to finish the whole thing, and I feel that way about the end of season 2 now, because it left on a pretty big cliffhanger. So I can't wait to see what happens.
Is there more than... Oh, there's more after season 2?
Yeah, I'm only on episode 25, and I think they're in the 50s now.
Oh, yeah, I think I saw that on their website. They were past 50. Yeah, I got a lot to do. I'm really behind.
Yeah, it's good, but that's kind of the nice thing about them being short episodes. It's easy to kind of breeze through a bunch of them. By the time you can listen to one episode from another podcast, you can get through like 4 or 5 of these.
Yeah, I would agree that it's easy to get through a bunch of them. I would say that this is different than a lot of other podcasts that I listen to, in that I can't listen to it as passively. Like, I kind of have to be paying attention so I know what's going on and I don't miss anything.
Yeah, I agree. I do the same thing. Well, because you have to, like, you don't want to miss any key plot details or like new characters and I don't know. I find myself not wanting to listen to it passively anyways, because I want to like be really invested in them, and yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's probably true, and I think you listen to a more of the storytelling podcast than I do, but it's probably true for a lot of storytelling podcasts that you have to listen a little more closely. Like, I couldn't listen to this podcast all day while I was at work, because then I would get caught up doing something at work and not be paying attention. But I listened to it when I went on a bike ride the other day, and that was awesome because I was just pedaling and listening, and that was great. Yeah,
those are good times to listen to these. Working out, I listen to these a lot, like when I go running, because I hate running, and listening to stories kind of keeps my mind off of not being able to breathe.
That's fair. I mean, I love running, but I also don't want to think about breathing, so I can agree. These podcasts are good for that. So what would be... Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
It was irrelevant. I was going to say, I'll sprint all day, but running long distances is not for me.
Maybe it will be if you have a podcast like this that makes you want to keep running and listening.
Yeah, maybe.
All right, so what's your entertainment factor score?
10.
I think I'm going to go 9. The only reason why is I think because of the fact that I have to be really focused and listen to it, it's harder for me to be like, oh, I want to keep going back. I have to like kind of plan a time when I can go back. So that's not really anything like against the podcast, just the nature of storytelling, I guess.
Yeah. So it's not that you don't want to go back.
No. It's just that it takes a little more work, and I like it to be effortless.
Yeah, okay.
And I'm sick of giving all 10s. Like, this is just too easy.
It's okay. Some podcasts are just going to be phenomenal.
I know. That's true. Okay, let's talk about the structure.
Yeah, what about it? This is where we already talked about they're shorter. They're like 20 minutes usually, sometimes a little less, which I really like. I think is great. We kind of already talked about that. The structure, as far as like content structure, it is exactly what we've said it was. It is the content of therapy sessions. I think they do a really good job of squeezing technically like a in fiction hour in this 20 minutes. So they go through an hour session, but it's only a 20-minute podcast episode. So, but they do a good job doing that.
Yeah, I agree. I think the structure is kind of perfect for what they're going for. I mean, it's condensed into really short episodes, easy to follow. They all kind of flow to keep the storyline going. And yeah, I don't know. I really don't have anything to complain about for the structure.
Here's what's interesting. No ads.
Yes, that is interesting.
So,
which makes me wonder, like, how are they getting support for this podcast?
Well, let me tell you. They have a Patreon. So they run off of pure donations, basically. You sign up for their Patreon and pledge money, and that's how they run it. So they don't have to do ads ever. They have like a, at the end where they're like written and directed by, and they'll mention their Patreon at the end. But otherwise, uninterrupted storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
You almost have to do it that way with storytelling podcasts because, I don't know, it takes you out of the story, breaks the immersion if you have to like stop in the middle and do ads or do them at any other point.
Yeah, that's true. I guess I didn't really know. I mean, I did notice that there were no ads, but the closing, I'm going to be honest, it's kind of how I listen to ads. It's very like, I'm like, oh, all right, the episode's over. And then I like kind of tune out a little bit, and then the next episode starts and I'm back in. I'm a selective listener.
Let me be honest about how I know about their Patreon. I only learned about it this morning after 2 seasons because I was walking to get my coffee and I had my coffee and my burrito in my hand and my phone was in my pocket, and the episode ended and I couldn't, because I just skipped through like the last 2 minutes usually and just go to the next episode, but I couldn't get my phone to skip it. I had to listen to their whole thanks for getting through season 2, blah blah blah, we're taking a little break and we'll be back, but donate to our Patreon. So that's the only reason I know about it, is because I had to listen through the whole last portion.
Okay, that's fair. I mean, I wonder, did that make you want to donate?
No. I don't know why, but I've never once donated to a Patreon to anything I'm into. Like, there's a bunch of podcasts I listen to that use Patreon, and I don't know. That's just the problem with getting it for free. Why? I feel bad about not supporting them now that you asked me that. I didn't before. But
well, I wouldn't feel the need to either, but here's why. I listen to a lot of my podcasts through Spotify, and I pay for Spotify. So I'm like, don't they just get a cut of my money somehow?
That's probably true. Yeah, I don't know how that works, but I think usually when you are, I feel like Patreon's subscription based. I don't know if it's just like you donate. I think you like sign up to be a subscriber and you pay like monthly or something. Usually what they do on Patreon is give their members like extra stuff, extra content or whatever that the free listeners don't get. I don't know if the Bright Sessions do this or not, but there are podcasts that do this. But still, even those other podcasts, I never feel the need to donate, really.
I know. The other piece of their content is, so I was just kind of looking up their, when everything is released and stuff, and I think episode 50 is the end, because it says that the original run of the Bright Sessions has concluded, bonus episodes begin on July 16th and are released the third Monday of every month.
So, interesting.
So I think it'll be interesting when we get caught up and we see what those bonus episodes are.
Yeah, because I just looked, June 12th, they put out episode 56. So if they end, you said they end at, it looks like 48. It looks like 48 is where they end because they have an episode after that titled The Future of the Show. So, interesting. I wonder what those newer ones are about.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see. I guess I'm pretty far behind, but I didn't have a ton of free time this week, and I got to focus when I listen, so I'm hoping to get caught up pretty soon.
Well, yeah, they're short, so they go by pretty quick. I flew through 25 episodes.
So one more piece we need to talk about is the production. And I think something
did we rate the one
Oh, we didn't rate it. Sorry. I'm getting excited. Okay, what would you rate the structure?
I don't know, probably 10.
Yeah, I think I would give it a 10 too. There's nothing
no
to complain
ads
about.
really does it for me.
I mean, after our last episode and how much we talked about the ads,
yeah.
ads is a kicker for us.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about the production. And I think something that's interesting here that I wouldn't have noticed yet, because I'm not as far as you, is like how their production would have changed throughout the episodes. So they had, I don't know how they were producing it before, but they had hired someone, or had someone join the team to actually do the production, but starting at episode 17, I believe.
So let me go back real quick and look at what episode 17 was, see if I can pick it out. So episode 17 was a Chloe episode. It probably, yeah, this is why. So after episode 17B, so episode 17, they have, I guess it's noticeable because you hear, it's actually really well done. So it's an episode about eavesdropping, basically. And so you have the main character of the episode talking, and it's really clear. But then you have her overhearing people in an office, and the voices she's overhearing are really good because they're like farther away, but you can still hear them. They're kind of muffled. So the production of that was really good. And then after that, they started doing, like, there's a stakeout episode where they're outside. So the ambient noises are what I'm really impressed with as far as production goes. Like, minor things, sounds of cars and wind and like people walking, like just the I wonder if they actually did record those outside, because you could just tell the difference. Like, it didn't sound like it was made in a studio. It sounded like they were sitting on a bench outside and recording.
That's cool. I mean, I don't think I've gotten to that episode yet because I'm a couple behind it, but I guess now reading that, I'm kind of excited and hearing you say that, because I thought the production was great before. I really liked, like, the sounds inside of the doctor's office, and I thought the production level was great. So to hear that it, like, gets even better is kind of impressive.
Yeah, one of the best examples of this, I think, is you've met Damien already, right?
Yep.
Okay, so one of the best examples is when Damien is in the office and we hear somebody get up, you hear the footsteps go somewhere, and then you hear the sound of water being poured into a glass, and then walk back, and nobody ever says, like, do you want a glass of water, or get me a glass of water. It just happens, and you know what's happening, and that's a phenomenal example of the ambient noise use.
Yeah, I think it's awesome. That one stood out to me too, because it's like, oh, someone's moving. Oh, there's water. And then they kind of feed it into the storyline to explain it, kind of, without being like, this person is getting up to get water. And I think that's really important when you're doing this type of story via like a podcast channel, because all the listeners are kind of creating their own like vision of what each of these characters look like. And I looked on their Twitter page the other day, and there's a lot of listeners that will draw images of what they picture for each character and send them to the Bright Sessions Twitter feed. And it's so cool to just see what everyone's picturing for all of these characters.
That's a lot of fun. There's some good artwork?
Yeah, there's a lot of good ones. There seem to be a couple Twitter users that do it consistently, and they kind of have like anime techniques to their drawing. So it was really cool. But I think that's important in a story podcast, like giving the listeners enough to go on about each character that they could visually picture each character.
I like that a lot in storytelling. Even like books, when I'm reading books, I like when the author will maybe pick like a detail or two and make it stand out, but for the most part, like just let you kind of create the picture of what the character looks like and not like over explaining what they look like. I really like the kind of ambiguity of characters, so you can, because most people what they'll do is like relate it to someone they know, or maybe I don't know, something they're familiar with, and I think that pulls people into a story more. So yeah, I agree. I like being able to create your own picture as far as the characters. That artwork you saw, or any of them look like how you kind of pictured characters?
I think some of them, but not all of them. Like the way I picture hair color was different on some versus others, and like little details like that where I was like, oh, interesting. Wonder why that person pictured that person that way, where I thought they had blonde hair, something like that.
Yeah, that is really interesting. That's fascinating why people picture different characteristics. I'd be afraid of looking at the artwork until I'm done, because I don't want to like have somebody else's image stuck in my head.
Yeah, I mean, it is interesting to see it when it's like visualized. It does change like your whole perspective of the way you think about it, but I don't know. I mean, this is kind of, I was going to say we've really gotten off track of the production, but
yeah, a little bit. That's okay though. I was going to say the only one I really have a very clear picture of is Damien, and I think it's a little bit because of his name too. I picture him just like Damon Salvatore from the Vampire Diaries.
I knew you were gonna say that.
Yeah.
I got a picture of the same way though, like dark, a little creepy.
It's a little bit like he's kind of dark features, but like a little pale, and he's like cocky, and he's like the bad guy, but he's not really the bad guy. They're a very similar character.
Yeah. Maybe it's just like a piece of that name.
Well, yeah, Damon and Damien is. So I will go ahead and give a 10 out of 10 for the production.
I think I will too.
Man.
I think the episodes aren't long enough for me to have something to complain about, really.
That's kind of true. But I mean, I guess just as a whole, 15 episodes in is a pretty good sample size.
Yeah. So, we give it the exact same score as our average. And I think this is actually how I would rate it in general, too.
Really? What is it?
The average is a 9.8.
9.8?
That's probably pretty close to
good.
where it would land.
I think so, too. I think, 9.8 sounds really good. I don't necessarily know where that 0.2 would come from.
I think for me, it's like sometimes the episodes aren't as captivating as others, which I know like every single one can't be like a cliffhanger or something super exciting, but some of them I'm like, that one wasn't as like, or like maybe one of them it starts annoying me or something. That's where the 0.2 comes from for me.
That's fair. And maybe like the fact that you can't really listen to it as passively as other podcasts.
Yeah.
Which is kind of like a good thing on their part. Like if you don't want to listen to it passively, it means you're interested and engaged enough. So
That's true. They got me on the engagement level. I'm all in when I listen.
Yeah, that's cool. How many storytelling podcasts do you listen to?
I think that's it. The only other one that I listen to, and I don't really listen to it, but it is a storytelling podcast. It's called Sleep With Me. Have you heard of it?
I think you've told me about this before.
It's a podcast sole purpose to put you to sleep.
Does it work for you? We don't have to talk about it.
It does work. You should check it out.
I think I've tried it before, and I don't know. I guess I go to sleep, but I don't know if it's as effective as just white noise.
Oh, I like the sounds of people talking. So it puts me to sleep, but I could never tell you what the stories are that he tells.
Yeah, agreed. I can't remember the last time I went to sleep without a podcast being on.
Yeah, me either, actually.
Except for this one. I don't listen to this one while I'm trying to sleep.
Yeah, it's true. I tried to do that last night because I knew you were going to be ahead of me. I was like, I got to listen to a few more. But I listened to one that I remember, and then I think 3 more played, and I got to go back and re-listen.
Yeah, it's tough because then you miss plot points. I can't listen to storytelling podcasts while I'm trying to sleep. It's mostly interview ones.
But I think 9.8 is a good score. I think it's fitting. This podcast is so different and unique and really interesting and kind of fun. If you're looking for something to not teach you something or to hear something about a real person and a story of their life, or something like a news, something a little more fictional and fun, I think this is an awesome podcast. I love it.
Yeah, it's very good. If you're into the fiction thing, if you're into the superhero thing, it's a cool little take. It's not just superheroes finding out they have powers and then they're gonna save the world, or fighting a bad guy. It's superheroes. It's the boring parts of X-Men. It's superheroes just trying to fit in. They're just trying to live a normal life, and they're having trouble doing it on their own, so they have to see a therapist.
And it makes me think they're superheroes but don't really know why or how to be superheroes, and they're just trying to fit into society, and this therapist is kind of trying to teach them how to be superheroes instead of she's not really trying to help them fit into society. She's let me show you what you can do.
Yeah. She's trying to teach them how to better their abilities. But yeah, it's interesting. It's funny. It's just people dealing with normal everyday problems, and now they have another problem. They can hear people's thoughts or something.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting. I already have a couple people in mind that I'm actually gonna recommend this to. So
yeah. Well, I think that's all we got. How's your coffee going? Is it all gone? How's that sturdy straw?
Straw's very sturdy.
Okay, well, I finished my coffee, so I need a second cup, obviously. So check out the Bright Sessions. You can find them on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, pretty much anywhere that you can also find us. So you can listen to our podcast on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, or on our host site, which is thepodcafe.libsyn.com. And if you have any feedback, thoughts, podcasts you want to recommend, you can tweet at us at _podcafe or email us at podcafe.contact@gmail.com. We just had someone reach out earlier this week, so we'll probably be checking out their podcast sometime within the next few weeks, which is exciting. Love to hear from what other people want us to talk about.
Yeah, and give us a rate and review on iTunes. Help us try and get somewhere on the charts. Let's get a spot, just a number. I don't even care where.
Even if it's the very bottom, put us on.
Yeah,
put us on the chart.
Give us the 7 billion slot. Let's just get on.
And I'm slowly learning how to use my audio equipment, so hopefully this will get better.
Well, mine's not. So new microphone for me soon.
Okay, happy Sunday, everyone.
All right, have a good